Good afternoon to everybody. This is a collaborative video recorded discussion of your instructors in IT 200 Seminar in Computer Education. So our next topic for today is on how to create a virtual classroom using synchronous and asynchronous learning. Online learning environments are more prevalent in teacher education than ever before, right? So today's technology has evolved so that a student can access instruction from a desktop computer via web conferencing tools that simulate the traditional classroom experience. So most of us class use video conferencing tools in order for us to connect with our students. Online courses may be separated into categories. Like we are doing today, we are using asynchronous learning, and these are asynchronous and the synchronous learning depending on the nature of the online tool. Today, class, my topics are going and hoping to stay focused on the following. We will talk about the emergence of online teaching, the personalized learning experience, the importance of creating a social presence, and I will define, of course, the asynchronous and the synchronous learning. Next, I will refresh everyone's memories on the tools and platforms that are available to us that can assist in or with transitioning traditional face-to-face instruction onto an online learning environment. The importance of supplementing asynchronous learning with online synchronous sessions through real-time interactions to foster an engaging environment that creates a social presence for students. I think it is important for us educators to know or to trace the history of the online education, and this is a shortened timeline of the history of the online education, 1990s or 1900s rather to 1959. So after a decade of robust post-war production and innovation, the United States is well positioned to take a lead in technology development. In this era, radio technology reaches into every home, and television and video recording are invented. 1950s, during the 1950s, the television was utilized, and by 1958, the Bell Laboratories had created a modem, or the modem, which would link at the time multiple computers together. It was that initial first step towards wired communication. So wired communication during the 1950s was already developed or created. The 1960s and to 1980, the internet took its first wobbly steps, allowing for a period of rapid, remarkable breakthrough. So if we fast forward a little bit, in 1990 to 2000s, so this was the tech boom era. Companies began utilizing the internet pioneer brand new platforms such as the learning management systems. And as of 2018, you can see how many institutions of higher education advanced to using LMS. Today, class, despite what global issues we are facing, we are still moving forward. However, we are not taking a more data-driven approach to ensure that our practices are truly tailored towards the students. So, in our case today, with the pandemic or the COVID-19 crisis, most of the educational institutions or in the Philippines and academies in the Philippines have shifted into flexible learning and also to online distance learning. professors or the administrators, sometimes the administrators of educational institutions have the responsibility to develop a curriculum and present it or design it in a way that will allow the students to learn. I know at this point, we've become very used to hearing these terms. A lot of us had to make that decision this past months as to which platforms or modality we wanted to use. But as the content expert, of course, you are able to see both sides of the spectrum, which provides us the power to transition to an online education or distant environment or distant learning. So we have here distance learning, different distance education modality. We have the fully online, the blended or hybrid, face-to-face, web-enabled, and emergency remote teaching. So when we say fully online, it is active instruction, testing, assignments, and discussion takes place online. So it is purely online. Blended or hybrid is between 25 to 50% of instructions, assignments, and discussions takes place online. And students study course material outside class and utilize classroom time to reinforce learning, ask questions, and interact with their instructors. So I think blended or hybrid is what we our modality in our class. And next is we have the face-to-face web enabled. Students meet virtually with their instructors and other class members via video, chat, or teleconferencing. Of course, we are also doing this, right? Every Saturday synchronously. And the last one, we have emergency remote teaching. It is shifting of face-to-face, blended, or other courses to a fully online format in the event students or faculty unable to come to campus. So, with the COVID-19 pandemic class, we have shifted, right, the face-to-face into a blended learning. So, both to fully online format. So, we are doing video conferencing. We are also doing video recorded discussion to discuss the topics for our students and uploading our learning resources materials in an LMS or a learning management system. So class, I will now discuss to you or define asynchronous learning and synchronous learning. And I wanted to discuss the importance of these two terms, how both can be used to develop a social presence for our students, and both can be used to the advantage of us as teachers and our students. On this slide, you will see how I define the two. Okay, class, so let us now define asynchronous and synchronous learning. So when we say asynchronous learning, class, communication is not in real time. So just like what I did for our class, this class in IT 200 for today class, I have pre-recorded a video lecture discussion. So, and different time to different places. So you can be in a different time, and you can also be in different places. And it is flexible. Flexible in the sense that you can always replay or listen to the video recorded discussion, and all the materials are uploaded, and it doesn't require the same time of the learners and the teachers. And learners view information and respond at different times and from different places. Yes, of course. And no live trainer. So it is not live, it is not real time, but you can utilize or watch this pre-recorded video at your own pace. And what the synchronous learning, communication, of course, is in real time. So we use Google Meet in order for us to have the synchronous classes, right? And same time, we can the instructor or the facilitator of the class can facilitate it in to the learners with the same at the same time and with different places. And learners view content at the same time, and responses are immediate, not flexible, and learners must meet at the same time, whether in person or virtually. And not just like asynchronous, in synchronous class, you have a live trainer. So you have the facilitator, you have in real time discussion of the topic. So we have here the difference of the asynchronous and the synchronous online classes. So it is represented in a pie chart, right? So it says here that asynchronous online classes has complete work each week on your schedule and receive immediate feedback on quizzes. And schedule group work when it's most convenient for everyone, right? So it is the asynchronous. While the synchronous online classes, the students have to attend, of course, the facilitator also attend class virtually each week with instructors and classmates and participate in the real-time discussion during class time and improve presentation skills. So those are the difference between the two. While there's similarities class, the facilitator or the instructors and the students can attend class from anywhere they are or from different places and communicate regularly with the instructors. So it is communication is an important or significant tool to communicate or for a distance learning or for an e-learning or online distance learning, and network and make connections with your classmates. Of course, you have to connect to your classmates in order for you to know the tasks or the assignments, assessment tasks or assignments and tasks of your courses or online classes. In order for us to analyze or to realize you are doing asynchronous and synchronous learning to your students, we have to categorize asynchronous and synchronous tools. We have to categorize communication tools as synchronous and asynchronous. So we have here the first one. We have tools for asynchronous learning. Some of the tools which can be utilized to facilitate your class is the use of email, wiki, blogs, self-paced e-learning modules. We have also Google Docs, like what we did last time, text messaging, file sharing, podcasts, videos, and PowerPoints. So those are some of the tools for asynchronous learning. And if you could see class, these technologies can be used for the learner's own pace and own time, right? So for example, email can be opened by learners at their own time because it won't disappear, right? It won't disappear online. Likewise with wikis, blogs, e-learning modules, collaborative Google Docs and Sheets, files, online, your podcasts, your videos on YouTube and other sites, and of course PowerPoint presentations which can be also uploaded online, like in the use of SlideShare, Google Drive, and other technology tools. So we have also here some example of the synchronous tools we use for learning. We have real-time chat, right? Real-time chat through Facebook. We have also video conferencing tools like Skype, Google Meet, Zoom, and other video conferencing tools. So if you analyze class, these tools, they can only be used in for real time. But some with Zoom class and other video conferencing tools and Google Meet, we can also record. We can make our discussion asynchronously through recording them, right? Recording our video recorded discussion. Both learners in synchronous class and teachers should be on the same time and receive immediate response from both learners and teachers. Okay, class, so these are other tools that we can utilize for our learning, flexible learning. So we have for presentations, so it's being categorized into presentations, audio, blogs, video, survey, assessment tools, whiteboard or chalkboard. We have also online databases and of course the social media apps. So the first one is presentations and it is interactive. So we can use different tools like Prezi, Adobe Spark, and what I am using today class or I use last time for this video recorded discussion is Sway. Sway, you just have to search the web, sway.com, and then you can use it or log on or sign up for an account in Sway in order for you to create just like this presentation. So we have also, last time class, I have discussed to you about audio or podcasting, right? So some apps for audio and podcasting are Audacity and Anchor. And also class, you can also utilize blogs. So just like what I have discussed to you a while back, blogs is categorized into asynchronous, right? So your students can post online through these technologies or websites like WordPress, Wix, Weebly, and blogspot.com. So WordPress.com, Wix.com, Weebly, and blogspot.com. For video class, what I'm using during the first semester or first term, I use Zoom. And today class, ang ginagamit ko na is Filmora and Google Meet. So Filmora, napaka-useful talaga ng Filmora sa akin. So this is where I could edit, or this is the platform where I can edit my videos and my pre-recorded discussion for my class. And we have also survey or assessment tools to add spice to your lectures. You have to use survey or assessment tools. You can use that for quiz B, right? Like quizzes, poll everywhere. So parang Kahoot din siya, parang quizzes, yung poll everywhere. And Kahoot and quizzes. So those are assessment tools in order for you to assess your students if they really learned from your discussion. So these quizzes can be used for synchronous, right? So I use it for synchronous meetings or discussions. And whiteboard or chalkboard. So you can also use whiteboard or chalkboard just like Google Jumpboard, right? So yung Google Jumpboard, I use it for me to write computations for my class. And Google Jumpboard. So yung Google Jumpboard naman, you can write computations, or while you are discussing, you can write here you can write in the Google Jumpboard. So it is an add-ins, I think, of the google.com. So ang daming applications of the Google. And then Worldmapper. Okay, this is also a database, and Wolfram Alpha. Okay, so this is also another database wherein you could search for any topic and then you can find something. Worldmapper also class is parang GIS siya, parang GU mapping, wherein you can map the statistics. So mapping siya. So you can search it on www.worldmapper.org, and the other one, Wolfram Alpha, is www.wolframalpha.com. And of course, social media. I think it is worth mentioning that you can get creative with your classroom activities while utilizing social media platforms and expanding students' knowledge through engaging experiences through the use of this. So last time class, I instructed my class to post on social media about what are their learnings about a specific topic during my asynchronous class video recorded discussion. And this social media and phone apps are Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So almost all of apps can be put on the phone screen, like those social media or smartphone apps. So those are, and social media class is used for, of course, for asynchronous learning. So going back class, other tools that we can utilize for asynchronous presentations like Prezi, Adobe Spark, Sway. Of course, you have also podcasting, Audacity, Anchor, WordPress, Wix, Weebly, Blogspot, Filmora, and of course for Filmora, and of course for Synchronous, Zoom, Google Meet, Poll Everywhere, Kahoot Quizzes, and for Whiteboard or Chalkboard, Animation for Explain Everything, and Google Jumpboard are used for synchronous, and databases are used asynchronously, and social media apps, the last one, is used for asynchronous learning. Okay, now class, we can always combine these two types of learning, and with what I do in my class with the undergrad, I am posting also with the graduate students. I am posting materials in the Google Classroom right after the discussion. Like for example, I am posting the video recorded discussion and modules for in the LMS or the Learning Management System. A video recorded discussion also, pre-recorded or recorded synchronous discussion. So the synchronous discussion class, when we meet in Google Meet or Zoom, I was already recording those discussions and then upload it into the LMS. And of course, for assessment and evaluation, I am using quizzes and Google Forms. Google Forms are a form of technology for asynchronous learning. So that is what I'm doing in class, and I could combine it, right? Because they are complementary with one another. So asynchronous and synchronous learning are complementary. So asynchronous e-learning and synchronous e-learning when are we gonna use asynchronous e-learning and synchronous learning when? So when we use asynchronous e-learning, when the students are reflecting on complex issues, and when synchronous meeting cannot be scheduled because of work, family, and other commitments. So if the topic is complex, we can use asynchronous e-learning. If the topic is the students want to replay or rewatch those videos or topics, then you can use asynchronous e-learning. And synchronous e-learning, if discussing less we can use it for discussing less and complex issues and getting acquainted and planning a task. So for example, class, I have I combined the two, and then I recorded. I Most of the time class with my undergraduate students, I am recording, or we have this pre-recorded discussion, and then after giving them the pre-recorded discussion, I will meet them to ask if they have understand the topic. Doon na ako uh, doon na ako papasok sa synchronous e-learning. Doon ko pinapasok yung synchronous e-learning kapag hindi nila naintindihan yung topic namin last time. And why? So for asynchronous, the students have more time to reflect because the sender does not expect an immediate answer. So you help the students to reflect. You help them to search other discussions on the specific topic, right? And for synchronous naman, the students become more committed and motivated because a quick response is expected. So, committed. If you want them to be committed and motivated with what you will discuss, of course, you will have to have your synchronous learning. And how? Use asynchronous means such as email discussion boards and blogs. So you can use blogs, you can use posting in social media, you can also use email to discuss a topic, and of course the use of the LMS, or the learning management system. And use synchronous means such as video conferencing, instant messaging. So instant, immediate. It requires immediate response from the learners and the teachers, and complement with face-to-face meetings. So, yun nga, hindi natin magawa yung face-to-face meetings, then we could utilize synchronous e-learning. So, here are some list of the examples of the asynchronous e-learning. Students expected to reflect individually on course topics may be asked to maintain a blog. Okay? So, they could maintain a blog. And students expected to share reflection regarding course topics and critically assess their peers' ideas may be asked to participate in online discussions or on online or on a discussion board. So discussion board, you can also use Padlet, padlet.com, Paddlet, for discussion board. And for synchronous learning examples, students expected to work in groups may be advised to use an instant messaging. So yung messenger natin, group chat, we can use that for synchronous chatting or synchronous learning as support for getting to know each other, exchanging ideas, and planning tasks. So you can also discuss. So in CCIT class, they use Facebook chat. In our college, we use a Facebook chat to supplement the synchronous e-learning if we cannot meet them through Google Meet because no data, walang pera, yun yung sinasabi ng mga students. And a teacher who wants to present concepts from the literature in a simplified way might give an online lecture by video conferencing. So, if we could see this class, they are really complementary to each other, right? The synchronous and the asynchronous learning. Okay, so let us discuss what I do for my virtual classes in the undergrad, my practices for this term or for this school year with my blended discussion or blended teaching or flexible learning for my virtual class. So for my asynchronous class, I am preparing or I am narrating right? I am narrating video, recorded discussions or PowerPoint lectures, and interactive assignments with Mentimeter. And students are assigned weekly to create questions, discussion board. So just like what I've told you a while back, we can also use Padlet. So initial due by Wednesday and be discussed by Monday. So discussion boards and supplemental resources like YouTube videos, and it is embedded in Google Classroom, and self-made videos utilizing last term class I have utilized Zoom, but then today I am using Filmora, and assessment through Google Forms. Okay, and for my synchronous classes, I am okay. So what I always do is for video conferencing with the use of Google Meet, and I have this rule in my class that students were muted or are muted during the discussion but could unmute themselves to ask questions. And the chat feature was also utilized in order for them to chat or to communicate with me during the synchronous or the live discussion. And for the first initial meeting, I have welcomed them to the course. I introduced myself as their professor. We have also an icebreaker for my students to have them introduce themselves also, and review the course online syllabus, and of course I have to answer their questions. So weekly meeting, we are meeting synchronously per week only, one per week rather. So once a week kung mini-meet sila for synchronous session, and I also utilize them I also utilize rather Kahoot, Mentimeter, quizzes, games were played to reinforce theory and assess knowledge and memory recall. And concepts were reviewed through instructor mediated discussion as well as through questions posed by students. I could also have had students develop questions to ask one another, and could have also created breakout sessions to have each group focus on specific area and then reconvene the group to discuss collaboratively. So those are my practices for this flexible learning during this time of pandemic. Okay, so the last second to the last topic. So monitoring student engagement. It is a must for us teachers to monitor and assess our students' activities. And what I do with my class is the use, what I utilize for my class is the use of the LMS for me to feed activity for my class, and for assignment activity, for submission, of course, in there I could see or I could assess or I could monitor who are those not submitting on time and not submitting their activities in class, the time report, collaborate, attendance, and report. I also utilize the use of the Google Meet attendance for my synchronous class. So every time we have our meeting for the Google Meet attendance or the G Meet attendance app. Actually, G Meet attendance app, you can download it online. G Meet attendance class can record the attendance of your students. So in that way, we could increase the engagement of your students, and we could monitor, of course, the activities and tasks submitted by our students so that we can relate to them. What are their shortcomings and their the missing submission of their activities for the class. Okay, so these are the key things to include in your e-learning. Learners need to be able to ask questions and share information and ideas. And planning tasks ahead of time is essential. Of course, you have to plan your topics before you know that as teachers, right? So you are a graduate of education, then you are I think you are more expert than me, and incorporate independent and collaborative projects or assignments, and social support also is mandatory. So, previous research points to the critical role that the community can play in building and sustaining productive learning, and that teaching presence defined as the core rules of the online instructor and is among the most promising mechanisms. Of course, the instructor, the teaching presence of the instructor is the most important for developing online community, learning online community. Utilizing both modalities of e-learning can help you succeed in creating environment that engages the students or engages students. So your social presence, your teaching presence is a must, and it is the core rules of the online learning environment. Always remember that you have to choose what's the right thing for you, and I advise you to have research and of course plan ahead of time and implement, evaluate, and revise your learning materials for your students. And always remember that you are the content expert of your lessons for your students. Okay, so that would be all. I will be posting your activity or your project for this midterm in Google Classroom. Okay, see you or thank you for listening.